Welcome to Treu Real Estate 911. It is Brian Mudd along with your local real estate pro, Lisa Treu. And if you're not already there, go to the Treu's website. It's TreuRealEstate911.com. That's TreuRealEstate911.com. Best local resource you're going to find for real estate. And you always may be able to reach out to the Treus. They're ready to help you 7 days a week. And as Lisa said, except for just a few holidays, quite literally, 561-972-8326, 561-972-8326. Tell us a little bit about some of the improvements that we can make for our homes that can really help us sell fast and for the most money.
Brian, there is a formula to getting a property sold, and that is the right price, the appropriate condition for that price, and perfect marketing. When you get all three of those right, you get sold and sold for the most money. And the condition part is sometimes they're really easy, inexpensive fixes, and sometimes it may be a little bit larger of an investment, and yet it is a big portion of whether you sell or whether you sell for top dollar.
And certainly one of those can be a coat of paint. Few things can go farther, faster, and make a more profound impact. In fact, Ashley and I, my wife, we were riding our bikes through the neighborhood, and there's one house that had just been repainted, and it was a night and day difference. And at the same time, we both said it and ended up thinking of you because it is something that you have told us so many times, just how incredible, little paint, how far that can go. Tell us about some of the opportunities that exist with something as simple as painting, be it inside or out.
Well, painting, as you said, it's the best investment that we can make. If you are talented and you can be detailed about it, you can actually paint it and save a lot of money. However, even if you hire a professional, it's still a great investment. Another area to look at is your kitchen and then, of course, the bathrooms. Sometimes a kitchen needs to be renovated. When that's the case, Brian, we don't want to start doing things that are going to just be ripped out. For example, if your cabinets need to be replaced, do not go replace the countertops without replacing the cabinet.
Right.
Because it will just be a wasted environment. One of the things that might be as simple is it might be updating the handles, updating the lighting. Again, very inexpensive. Or another easy fix in the bathroom is to update the vanity, which today there's many amazing options, and they're quite affordable too.
Now, to your point, taking a look at some of the what appeared to be dated cabinetry. This could even be true in the kitchen. You talk about that coat of paint. Sometimes resurfacing or having them painted can end up being a go-to as well.
Yes, you can look at painting them. You can look at replacing the front, which is a very economical way. One of the things that many people are looking at doing, if you have shorter doors, is maybe having an additional, maybe glass decorative cabinet piece put on top to modernize it. There's a lot of inexpensive ways where somebody walks in and says, wow, this house is in today's selling standards.
This is something that you have been so helpful with over the course of time. As part of the consultation, you can tell us, where we need to be. And so rather than just kind of guessing and thinking, oh, shoot, maybe I should try this or try that. I mean, if we have you in, you can tell us pretty quickly, this is what you need to be doing. And if we're going to spend any money, where we should be spending it.
Yes, and before you do any large purchases, any renovations, be sure to reach out to me and let's talk about it. For example, and this is something I don't think people realize, is that impact glass, from a saving standpoint on your insurance, the credit is the same whether you have impact glass, you have accordion shutters, or you have metal rated shutters. So before you start to spend a lot of money and you think you're going to get all of that money back, call me first, because in your neighborhood, yes, you might get it back, or you might be better to put accordions on, or maybe just keep your metal shutters. So let's talk before you spend thousands of dollars with the intention to get it back for resale, because I may have good news if you do it, and I may have not so great news. So let's factor that in before we actually start the process.
You know, it's a good point. I remember reading a study probably just over a year ago about home improvement projects for the purpose of ROI. And at the time, there were only two categories that on average provided a positive ROI. In other words, if you end up doing almost all projects, you really need to be doing it because you enjoy it, or maybe it literally is a necessary component to be able to sell the home. Is that a mistake that a lot of people make, thinking that, oh, whatever I put into my home, whatever the project happens to be, I necessarily am going to be able to sell it and get my money back out of it?
Oh, it is a huge, huge mistake. And the other mistake I'm seeing right now, Brian, is they are not committing to going you have to either go all in or you have to be very careful about what you spend. Buyers today will actually pay more money for something that is on point design-wise and move-in ready. However, many are kind of taking shortcuts. They will not pay for the upgrades unless you do it the right way. So picking the right countertops, the right kitchen, the right flooring, the right coloring, even if it's vacant, staging the home, all of that really creates an experience, emotion, which is what buying a home is. So you really do need to be careful when you're spending money. And here's something that I hear all the time. They had a salesman come out for whatever they were looking at. The salesman guaranteed they'd get all their money back when they go to sell. For example, solar panels. Again, call me before you make those large, long-term commitments because you may or may not get all of your money back depending on what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you start talking about there being specific buyers. You know, it's kind of like a pool. Some people might like the solar panels, but you might also have some people that are not part of that process. How many different types of projects actually can end up going that direction to where you isolate the number of potential buyers that even are interested in looking at the home?
Well, I think that you will notice when you see what we would call an investment property or a flip, they pretty much all look the same. Why is that, Brian? Because they're trying to appeal to the broad market where maybe it wouldn't have been your choice, but you can make it work with the right design colors. That is what you have to be careful of, is over-personalizing and overspending for the neighborhood. I see that a lot. Somebody wants to put in a pool that really is like a resort style pool in a neighborhood where that is not typical. You have to look at what is expected. And you notice I didn't say perfect condition. I said appropriate condition for the price range. If granite is acceptable, great. Maybe the neighborhood needs quartz. Or maybe every house in the neighborhood has a pool and you don't. Not having the pool will harm you from a value standpoint because that's what buyers expect in that neighborhood. So it's really important to be careful about not just what you want to do. Look, if you're going to live there 5, 10, 20, 30 years, do whatever you want. And yet, don't add it to the list of I put this upgrade in 10 years ago and I want all of the money back for that upgrade.
Well, and to your point, you start talking about trends. Good Lord. I mean, you have to keep up with them. I couldn't even tell you what they are anymore. They seem to change so fast. So, I mean, how many trends have changed versus, say, a decade ago?
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, everybody wanted dark cabinets and everybody wanted white cabinets. And, then they wanted two-tone cabinets. And no doubt, the trends change. However, when you kind of go neutral, even when the trends change, the appeal is broader than if you go extremes. We renovated our bathroom. We were very careful about the glass. The choices in the shower are very broad versus what honestly I wanted, because I knew that at some point we're going to sell and I want as many buyers to be able to see enjoying the master bath instead of something that I wanted for my own personal choice.
So this is a great conversation. Bottom line is, if this is our forever home, do it. I mean, whatever it is that makes you happy, go for it and let it be. But if you are going to resell, and you know you're going to resell at some point, this is an opportunity where you'd be able to help guide us about some of these decisions that even many years out will still be viable for the purpose of being able to resell effectively.
Yes, especially the big ticket items, things like flooring. Yes, it's expensive, but in a few years, you're probably going to change it anyway. But going and putting a pool in, putting solar panels in, doing anything with a long-term contract, what makes sense for storm protection, whole house generators, things like that, at least have the discussion so you're making a decision that's informed, educated, and you can feel good about making that investment into that larger project.
Something else that we'll talk about from time to time, but it comes to mind in the context of this conversation even, HOAs. Now, increasingly, I'm hearing about people that are concerned about HOAs again, and maybe it's that the economy has been strong for as long as it has, and so you have a lot of HOAs that now have ideas about what they'd like to do, maybe with reserve money, what have you, that certain people disagree with. But one thing that I'm keenly aware of, an HOA can change over the course of time, and also the perception about an HOA can change over time as well. What do we need to be mindful of when moving into a community with an association when we have a longer range perspective?
Well, you mentioned it. Reserves. Number one, does the condo association or the homeowners association have appropriate reserves, or is their financing strategy for repairs and updates something called a special assessment? I was meeting with somebody that their association has 0 reserves, and they've done it on purpose. Well, guess what happens? Every single year, there's something to do, right? It's just like a home. There's something to update, maintain, fix, something breaks. Every single year, they get finished paying a special assessment, and there's another one. And another one, and another one. And that's an issue for a couple of reasons, especially in a condo. It makes it hard to get financing. So your pool of buyers keeps getting smaller and smaller. They have to be cash or have substantial amount down payment. That's huge now because now FHA is available to condos. First time really ever. And there's been a few that were qualified, but very few actually met the qualifications. So we've eliminated all the FHA buyers if a condo association doesn't have reserves, and we've any less than 20% down. Think about that. That's a lot of buyers. So understanding the reserves, understanding the management, understanding the philosophy of what they allow. And then also, how many people live and own there versus rent there? That's another big item that impacts financing, but it also impacts your experience if you're going to live in a community as a primary residence or a second home. Having tenants in there where almost over half of the community are tenant-based is also a challenge that could impact the experience of where you live.
Okay, and trying to sort through what's what with all this across Lord knows how many communities throughout the Palm Beaches, not something the average one of us is going to be able to do, but it is something that you can expertly do. So it's all the more reason why, if you're thinking about any of these considerations, you're thinking about real estate, period, the Treus, they're ready to help you. And again, straight through the holiday season, just reach out to them. Buying, selling questions, 561-972-8326. That's 561-972-8326. Again, if you're not already there, just go to TrueRealEstate911.com.